welcome everyone here, and I'm going to screen share the agenda. If you somehow haven't been able to see the chat, I want to remind you that Sarah Thompson's concert will be replaying tonight at the end of all of our programs. So be sure to tune in for that. Talk about a member plenary. That's a great opportunity to see that. And here,
this is WILPF U.S. Section President Darien De Lu.
Thank you. We have a very full agenda. I also want to welcome Jan Corderman, who is Global Coordinator. And Jan, you should be on the phone right now, or else I'll just be reading your presentation for us. Jan.
I'm here.
Okay, go right ahead, please.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Darien. Well, I'd like to thank everybody for being with us here today, and I hope you're enjoying your time at Congress. I know I certainly am. So as Darien said, I am one of the co-coordinators for our CSW programs. It's really an honor to be the co-coordinator. We have two programs. Shilpa Pandey coordinates one of them. She coordinates the Practicum and Advocacy program. That's a program that opens up opportunities for students and others who are new to WILPF. My work is with our Local to Global program, and it's created to help offer engagement for seasoned members who bring their local voices to the national and international work of WILPF. So each year, interested members apply, and this year, 4 women were selected to be local and global delegates. They are asked not only to attend the full week of events, but also to complete a project of their own design, but to also link that to branch or section work when they get back home. So through our video that you'll be seeing in a few minutes,
hopefully
you'll hear from them. Yeah, or any second. We also, this is the UN's largest gathering of gender equality and women's empowerment. Hundreds of sessions take place. And this year, besides the 4 people, we also offered support to other interested members from the Burlington, Vermont branch, Philly, Boston, Southern Indiana, and Jane Addams branches who attended for a day or two. So we had a lot of women with there.
Jan, we are over time at this point. We're starting the video.
Hi, I'm Jan Corderman, and I'm a member of the Des Moines branch of WILPF. And it's also my honor to serve as the co-coordinator for our CSW programs. And the one that I work with is the Local to Global program. We were there in March. Those annual meetings always take place in March. I think they're an important part of WILPF's work. In so many ways, the UN's work is WILPF's work. Their objectives, as defined by their charter, and they've been chartered since 1945, maintain international peace and security, protecting human rights, delivering humanitarian aid, promoting sustainable development, and upholding international law. Our foremothers were the first women's organization and one of the first NGOs to get consultative status at the UN. That gives us a little bit of a step up, a little bit of way to really engage a little deeper with the UN. It also has responsibilities. We have to follow the protocols. I guess that's another thing I appreciate about being part of WILPF is that our international has taken great stock in that consultative status. We get to meet them, meet the staff, and meet so many WILPF members when we're there. At the UN, my role is to kind of facilitate the passage and the engagement by 4 seasoned WILPF members. And I think we had a great crew this time. This is the largest gathering of women. There were 9,000 people that had NGO status. And then there were several of us that because of WILPF's consultative status, we were able to get inside the UN and attend the side events.
My name is Odile Huguenot Heber, and I am with a branch that is called Ann Arbor Ypsilanti branch in Michigan. I was chair for a long time, Commission on the Status of Women. I heard a lot about it, and I was chair of the Middle East Committee, and I was chair of my branch, and I wanted to know what we were doing there. I heard for a long time members speak about it. And also I thought it would be more international and it would be better for me to meet more international members. I was impressed because there was 10,000 women. That's impressive to have that many women showing up anywhere. It was a little overwhelming. Personal story I have is that we did invite women from Africa, and we had 4 women that spoke from Africa, and 2 of them only spoke French. So I translated French to English for them, so that a lot of women were active everywhere around the world. And I saw by what they say that women were not in charge in most places. They have government that do not include them as equal participant or active equal partner. So the men are calling on the woman, but the women are not in charge for the most part. That's it. I think we need to show much more the woman who do the work on the ground to kind of reverse, from the top to the bottom and move more from the bottom up.
Hi, my name is Tara Vosafi, and I am the branch contact for the local Women's International League for Peace and Freedom branch that's here in this nation's capital, Washington, D.C., aka unceded Piscataway and Nachitang territories, and also known as Chocolate City, because it was the largest Black metropolitan center up until it became the fastest gentrifying city in America. So it's a really magical place to be, sacred land, sacred land. I'm also part of the Women, Money, and Democracy Issue Committee. To me, the most important thing that I gleaned from the experience was honestly being able to spend one-on-one time with fellow WILPF members, which was wonderful, but we could do that anywhere. We could do that in places that are much less expensive and also like catered to us actually having our voices heard, as opposed to basically just being like the filler, the women of color filler of this colonialist, entity known as the United Nations. And very importantly, peace was not mentioned once in the conclusions of the Commission of the Status of Women, which when you were actually there as one of the 15,000 unimportant people, that's all we were talking about was peace. How do we make peace? We were talking about Gaza, we were talking about Cameroon, Sudan, Iran, etc. The US, how to deal with this militarized war-obsessed world that we live in that is primarily affecting women and children. It was the first time I went to the UN not as a protester. What I observed is that in this society, peace is the marketing budget for the military-industrial complex. I've been looking for something like WILPF my entire life. I knew that there existed spaces where women are heard, are also followers of each other and supporters of each other, and we really listen to each other, and we really figure out how to work with each other. You have to stay sharp, you have to stay attuned to the world around you to be part of this women-led revolution, I say with a capital E. I know that women will be able to create. We create, that's what we do. And so I know that we will be able to create a world of abundance and collective liberation, and it's coming and we'll rise with the waves. That's what WILPF means to me, is at least an investment in peace of what is the absolute most that we can achieve from investing in this colonizer's institution.
My name is Sheila Harper. I'm with the Philly branch of WILPF, the City of Brotherly Love. I'm involved in both global and local activities for WILPF. I participated on a panel that was led by some Nigerian physicians. It was about strengthening institutions to prevent gender-based violence. I'm also part of the Philadelphia's Mayor's Commission on African, Caribbean, and Immigrant Affairs. So I kind of mesh all of that, especially gender-based violence, together. And as we focus on children as opposed to grown women. Locally, in terms of the U.S. WILPF, I'm involved with the anti-racism work and reducing cultural bias. The feeling of being with 15,000 other women from around the world discussing issues that impact all women and girls, no matter where we're located, was beautiful. The opportunity to also meet WILPFers from all around the US and global was overwhelming. The camaraderie that I was able to develop was beyond my past experiences at CSW. The power of in-person networking has changed my life, especially with all of the women and the issues. There's so many issues, committees of WILPF. CSW pulls me in even more because it's a lot. It's a lot, but it's worth it. And I just need to figure out how to balance.
My name is Carolyn Hake Walker, and I'm with the Women's International League for Peace and Freedom branch, Des Moines branch. I'm also on the Des Moines Citizens Task Force on Sustainability. I've kind of stayed completely local. I've been on leadership team of the Des Moines branch. I've been on all kinds of committees at the Des Moines level. Going to the UN was a very revealing and inspirational event for me because I realized how well-known U.S. WILPF was and international WILPF was at the United Nations level with their history of as a peace organization. I've even thought about getting on the International Environmental Committee or the U.S. one as a result of going to the UN. Yeah. I decided that I really wanted to make the project local to global, which is what our campaign was called. And because I'm so involved in local politics in Des Moines, and the local scene as far as the climate action plan in Des Moines, I decided that I was going to informally interview as many women from all different parts of the world on climate change, because I know the UN reports, but I wanted to do some hear from actual women about climate change in their country. So at lunch at the UN and before meetings or walking to the different conference meetings that I went to, probably interviewed 15 different people from all over the world. And just anecdotally, the questions were, is climate change happening now? I wanted to know now in your country. And number two, what are some of the, what's happening and what are the consequences? And WILPF itself really could be a real powerful liaison when it comes to the existential issues of the military, nuclear weapons, and climate change that WILPF does and can play a powerful role in international politics and U.S. politics, as well as doing things like I do, which is just going to this, involved in committees with the City Council of Des Moines on climate change. So many opportunities for women to boldly move forward. Yeah. Just the historical look at Women's International League for Peace and Freedom, starting way back with Jane Addams and the women that went to the Hague trying to prevent World War I. I think that legacy is there, but hearing from U.S. WILPF women and international WILPF women how smart they are and how important they combine women's human rights with all those issues, sustainability and defense. It definitely had an impression on me, whether it's military or climate change, which Noam Chomsky says are the two existential issues of our time, that I think we have to look at women's rights and the whole issue of women being in more power, because it's just too slow a progress with men in power. We've got to figure this out. I'm sorry. You know, women have an important role to make, and we need to keep fighting for that role, local to global. Yeah.
I'll very briefly explain the pundits. The pundits, in case you wondered, are all of the board members who are listed on our website and the international WILPF connected people from the US section. That would be the Americas region representative, the WILPF US liaison to the Americas region representative, the advisory board members. So that's our pundits. And I want to recognize them and all the board members who are at this meeting today. Moving on to self-introductions. Everybody here, I will be calling on 3 people at a time, or maybe 4, to introduce themselves. You have 30 seconds to do that. And just notice, please, name, location. If you're a member, about how many years have you been? What's one thing from this Congress that you want to work on? So I'm going to call on people. I'm Darien from Sacramento, and I will work on being president. I don't know if Ellen Schwartz would like to speak, then Marybeth, then Tina Shelton, and then Sue Ann Martinson. Ellen and Marybeth, you'll have to unmute yourselves. So you have 30 seconds to introduce yourselves, and I hope everyone here will go ahead and introduce themselves. Let's start with Tina.
Okay, I'll start because my mic's been open. My name is Tina Shelton. I am in the Greater Philadelphia area branch, and I've been a member since 9/11, so somewhere a little over 20 years. And I am a new national board member and a member of the Congress Planning Committee. Thank you.
Okay, I think Ellen has gone away. How about Marybeth and then Sue Ann Martinson?
Hi, I'm Marybeth Gardam. I'm in Iowa City, Iowa. I've been on the national board before, and I am currently the co-chair for our development / fundraising committee. I also chair the Women, Money, and Democracy Committee. And WILPF has been my home, my political action home, my activist home since around 2003.
Okay, Sue Ann Martinson, and then Laura George, Judy Adams, Veronica Lake. So please unmute in preparation. Sue Ann.
My name is Sue Ann Martinson, and I'm from Minneapolis, Minnesota. I'm a member of Women Against Military Madness, and I have to confess I'm not a member of WILPF, but I was a presenter, and I'm a little surprised to be included in this, but I wanted to listen. So I have learned so much, so much. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm calling on Ellen Schwartz, who is unmuted now. Please introduce yourself. Check in real quick.
I'm here. I'll even start my video. I'm Ellen Schwartz. I'm a member of the Sacramento branch. I've been a member of WILPF since 1969, and currently I am the chair of the nominating committee.
Great. And Judy Adams, are you going to unmute? And then Veronica Lack, and people keep shifting around. So Judy?
I'm not sure why I'm in this panel, but I joined WILPF in 1976 around in Peninsula, Palo Alto, California. And I do the email and vigils for our branch. And I'm the treasurer and go-to person, but I'm
Okay,
not on the national board.
Thank you. No, I'm asking everyone at this session to introduce themselves because we don't often have a chance to see all of our members. So Laura
Okay.
George, please check in. 30 seconds.
Hi, everybody. My name's Laura. I am located in a little town called Independence, Virginia. We just started a WILPF branch here, which we're really excited about. And because of our location in Virginia, we're in the Appalachian Mountains. We're surrounded by other states that are also joining. And I joined WILPF the second I learned of WILPF, which was only about 4 months ago. And I have a lot of ideas on how to grow it, which I'd love to share when the time is right.
Thank you. Veronica Lack, then Tina Shelton and Alan Haber. Veronica?
Nope, Tina already went. You gotta pick somebody else.
Sorry, thank you. Veronica.
This is Veronica, and I'm from the Des Moines, Iowa group, and I am a Soil and Water Conservation Commissioner for Dallas County, Iowa. Our main issue in the United States with our water quality is PFAS nitrite chemicals that we cannot filter out. And there's of our bottled water or our tap water. So my job is to try to protect our soils from contamination with these PFAS chemicals and our water. And
Thank you.
unfortunately, our conservation funds are cut.
We're pressed. So Alan and Odile, you can actually take a minute if you need it, but I hope you can be faster. We have a wonderful turnout. Go ahead.
We are Alan and Odile in Ann Arbor, Michigan. And the Allen part of us joined WILPF in 1959 when I began organizing the Students for a Democratic Society. And I've been an activist ever since. And the whole war system is the overwhelming common cause I think we have.
And I am Odile, and I am active in the Middle East Committee and the Disarmament Committee. See you there. Bye.
And we got to hear you in the video. Barbara Taft, Brady Torres, and Cricket Doyle, you're the next in line. Barbara?
Hi, I'm Barbara Taft. I live in Mesa, Arizona, and I'm the convener for the Greater Phoenix branch. I served 2 terms as a member of the National WILPF Board, and for many years, along with Odile, I was co-chair of the Middle East Committee, which is now the Middle East Peace and Justice Action Committee. And I'm currently on the leadership team of that committee. And my intention is to continue to do the work on the Middle East because it's so necessary.
Thank you, Barbara. Brady and Cricket, please unmute. After Cricket will be Robin. Brady.
Hi, everybody. I am Brady Torres from the Sacramento branch, brand spanking new WILPF member. My claim to fame is that I'm Darien De Lu's neighbor and Ellen Schwartz's neighbor. So that's hi, everybody. Glad to be here.
Thank you. And Cricket. And then
Hi.
Robin and then Margot.
Hi, this is Cricket, also known as Jane Doyle. I'm housed in the the Santa Cruz area where we have a branch that's been pretty inactive, and we just met with the idea of getting ourselves going again. And I'm excited about that. My job currently, or what my responsibility, let me say, is to be the liaison with our region. We are one of many regions that WILPF has around the world. I may get to tell you about it later. We'll see.
Thank you, Robin.
Yes. Hi, everyone. I'm Robin Lloyd from Burlington, Vermont. I've been a WILPF member since forever, maybe the 80s. And I'm active on the Disarm and the Racial Justice Committee.
Great. Okay, Pam Albright, you're next, then Dee Murphy, then Nancy Price. So please, everyone.
Darien, were you going to call me?
I beg your pardon. Margot was next and I lost you on my screen. Margot and then Pam.
Okay. Yes, my name is Margot Schulter. I'm a member of the Sacramento branch, and that is in Indigenous Nisenan territory. I've been a member nationally continuously since 2021 for it's about 3 years. And right now, my focus, I think Ellen Thomas has really mobilized me with an email. Just, it's incredible stuff. And I don't want to exaggerate or get it wrong, but I think I have to deal with the issue of the new Cold War and the risk of nuclear war. Thank you.
Thank you. Perfect. And whoever I said, Pam, then Dee, then Nancy.
Hi, I'm Pam Albright. I'm a member of the Greater Philadelphia branch, and I guess for about 4 years now. And I'm hoping to take back with me some of the resources and wonderful information that George Friday gave us as part of the anti-racism work and put that into practice in Philadelphia.
Great. Next person, please.
I am Dee Murphy. I live in Southwest Minnesota, and I'm on several different national WILPF committees, including a couple of the issue committees. And it's so great to see such energy and so many wonderful people here. Our national committees need volunteers, and I'm hoping that throughout this Congress and on review on YouTube, you will go to our website and join an issue committee or a national committee as a result and help us out in this great work. Thank you.
Hear, hear. Thank you. Nancy Price, please unmute. Then we'll hear from Datsa, one of our tech team, and then from Geneve. Nancy isn't, you're on.
Call me again.
Okay. Datsa, and then Geneve, and then Teresa Elamine. Datsa?
Hi, my name is Datsa Seps. I am a first-generation Latvian, born in America, raised in exile. I live in Michigan. I retired there after being an active member in the Madison branch for several years. Thanks.
Thank you. Geneve.
Hi, my name is Geneve Brooks, and I am working in development. I started at WILPF. I'm working part-time, and I joined WILPF right away, and I'm a former sociologist, and Jane Addams was huge in our discipline as well. So I'm really pleased to be here and love this Congress and all the issues that you guys are talking about.
Thank you. After Teresa will be Nancy Price, Randy Hicks, and Laura Dewey. So please, folks, unmute. Teresa.
Thank you, President Darien. Teresa Elamine. I trace my connection to the national WILPF back to 2012 when I attended my first CSW as a delegate in the local to global, and there were 8 delegates that year. I am the founding member organizer of the Fannie Lou Hamer branch, which stretches across South Georgia now, covering several cities. I'm advancing human rights.
Thank you, Teresa. We're rushing along.
And I'm looking forward to working with the Membership Development Committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Randy, and then Laura.
My name is Randy Hicks, and I live in Sacramento County, and I discovered WILPF because
We had WILF members who supported Healthcare for All, which is a single payer organization. And I'm hoping to join some of your committees. You know, I might not be on the board, but I'd like to be part of your committees and see what you guys are up to. Oh, and I work on a lot of legislation, so I kind of keep up to date what's going on in Sacramento, and I bring that back. Thank you.
Fantastic. Okay, Laura, then Kim, then Philip.
Laura Dewey, member for, I think, 30 years now. And I plan, member of Detroit branch, and I plan to bring back some of these videos after this is published to the branch and let the branch decide what they want to work on all these various issues. Thank you.
Thank you. Kim and Philip, I'm just muting you while thank you, while Kim speaks. Go ahead, Kim.
I'm Kim Poole. I was invited to join WILF in February by Miss Teresa. I've been here for 90 days. In March, I was at UNCSW. In April, I was in Geneva. And now May, I'm here at the Triennial Conference. In June 19th, the International Secretariat asked me to plan a Juneteenth event, and it's open for invitation. I hope you all get details about it. Looking forward to a long, bright future. Thanks.
Thank you. Great, Kim. And Philip, you're on. Philip Cole, please unmute.
My name is Philip Cole. Excuse me, and I am can you come back? Okay,
We'll come back to you. Oh. We'll come back to you. Eileen, then Ellen Thomas, then Lucille. Eileen.
Hi, I'm from Boston area. I was brought in by a friend who is pretty active, and at a retreat I joined. It was within the first days. I was on a track to do more activism, and I knew I found the right group here. I was a secretary for the board not too long, well, the typical 2 years after I joined. And I am now just helping with the interim membership. And excited about it.
Thank you. And Ellen Thomas. And after Ellen Thomas, we'll have Philip Cole and then Lucille. Ellen?
Hi, Ellen Thomas in the mountains of North Carolina. And I have been a member of WILPF since 2004 and a co-chair of the Disarm End Wars Committee since 2008. And I am very active with not only with Nuke News, which is something I do online, but also with WILPF Smart on Facebook and the YouTube channel, where I will be posting all of the videos from this Triennial Congress.
Thank you, Ellen. Philip and then Lucille. Philip is a board member. And Ellen was one.
I'm a member of the San Francisco branch and a member of the Finance Committee. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, Philip. Lucille. And then after Lucille, Janet Slaughter, Regina Burcham, Lois Herman. Lucille.
I believe now I'm in Central Illinois, Bloomington Normal, between Chicago and St. Louis. I'm a member of WILPF's Women, Money, and Democracy Committee and the Chicago Restart chapter, and involved with the Alliance for Just Money. And I got to WILPF through Mary Sanderson.
Great, thank you. And Janet is our America's Region representative. She's a pundit. Janet.
Yeah, I'm a member of the International Board. This is my second term. I've been on the board for 6 years and a member of Fresno WILPF since about 2000.
Thank you. Regina.
Yes, I'm Regina Burcham. I now live in Minnesota. I joined WILPF in 1983 when I was at Washington University in St. Louis. And I joined because Reagan said we could win a nuclear war, and I thought that was incredibly stupid. So I joined with the other faculty members there in St. Louis, but I live now in Minnesota. Thank you.
Thank you. And we have Lois Herman, then Cynthia Roberts, then Joan Goddard. And I know this is taking some time, but I think it's important that our members get to see each other. Lois.
Okay, thank you. I'm Lois Herman, and I am a member of the WILPF Minnesota group. I have been a WILPF member since so far back I can remember, standing on the street corner with posters and on the stage as a woman in black. But then through my work with the Women's UN Report Network, I moved to Italy and I was there 12 years and doing a lot with the UN. But then we had a terrible, terrible COVID over there. And after the third lockdown—
So I'm sorry, Lois, we're zipping along.
I'll just say, for the last lockdown, I came back and I'm part of WILPF US.
Perfect. Cynthia, then Joan Goddard, then Jean Hopkins. Cynthia.
I joined in the mid-90s when Craig organized a new group in Brown County, Indiana. We later joined with the Bloomington group, which has been relatively inactive lately, but I'm trying to get us up and meeting again. And I'm a member of the Cuban Bolivarian Alliance Issues Committee. Yeah.
Great, thank you, Joan Goddard.
Hi, everybody. I'm finding out that I'm in the middle range group of length of membership from 1999, when somebody told me they thought I would be interested in WILPF, and she wasn't even a member herself. So if we could all do that, that'd be good. I'm a member of several of the issue committees and have been on the board twice for a year or part of a year since 2020.
Thank you. After Jean, Dr. Linda Ridley, then Maris Hitchert, and Ellen Thomas. Jean.
Hi, I'm Jean Hopkins of the Burlington, Vermont branch. As a Quaker activist, Robin Lloyd introduced me to WILPF about, well, 10 years ago. And we both endure the flyovers of the F-35, so we know about Mick. And I'm very concerned about the growing economic inequality, so I joined the Women, Money, and Democracy group.
Thank you. Perfect. Dr. Linda Ridley.
Hi, I'm Linda Ridley. Good to be here. I've been a member since December, so I'm a brand new member. I'm exploring partnering with others to reactivate the New York City chapter. I've spent about 20 years in Malaysia doing global consulting work, so I have some ideas, not unlike Laura George, on how we can make WILPF increasingly effective.
Perfect. Thank you. After Maris Hitchert, we'll hear from Ellen Thomas and then Betty Traynor and Barbara West. Maris?
I'm speaking. Oh, I'm sorry.
Hi, I think I'm Mayor's Hitchert. I don't know if you can, do you have me, Mayor's Hitchert?
We do. I was mispronouncing your name. Please go right ahead.
That's all right. Was introduced by somebody at the Detroit Repertory Theater named Joy. That's all I remember. I became a lifetime member, but I haven't really been. I'm from Heartland, Michigan, and I'm a friend of Laura Dewey's.
That's a great recommendation. Thank you. Okay, Ellen Thomas, then Betty Traynor.
Well, thanks for allowing me to speak twice, because I didn't mention Proposition 1 campaign for a nuclear-free future and Warheads to Windmills campaign, which I'm involved with.
Okay, I do lose track at times. Betty Traynor will be followed by Barbara West, Penny Taylor, and George Friday. Betty.
Hi, thank you. Ellen deserves to be on twice. I'm from San Francisco branch, about 20 years now, and we're particularly interested in police use of military weapons and being allies with the Bayview Hunters Point neighborhood that are seriously impacted by toxics and radioactivity in the San Francisco Bay waters. Thank you.
Great, thank you. And Penny Taylor, Barbara West, and then Penny Taylor.
I'm in Maine. I remember WILPF from the late 60s as the little old ladies in tennis shoes, and now here I am. We started a branch in Maine in the early 80s. And I had the privilege of chairing the mini grant committee for 12 years. So I got to be aware of all the good work going on in the issue committees and the branches.
Thank you so much. After Penny and George, we'll have Ginger Harris and Reverend Rowan Fairgrove. Penny. Penny, please unmute. Okay, we're going on to George. When you unmute, Penny will come back to you. George. Okay, we're going on to Ginger.
Hi, I'm George Friday.
Oh,
I'm in the Southern Piedmont branch. I'm also the program committee chair, and I believe the best time for me during our Congress has been when the different Native women spoke about their connections to water and land. Thanks.
Thank you. George is a board member, and so is our next speaker, Ginger Harris. You're on.
Hi, I joined WILPF in the early 70s when my daughter was 2 years old. My mother was a member before me, and so now well, I grew up in St. Louis, spent most of my life there, and that's where I was most involved in WILPF. And then 7 years ago, moved to Boston area where I became involved also. And it's a lifelong commitment. Everything that WILPF stands for is what I believe in. Thank you.
Thank you. Rowan, who will be followed by Barbara Nielsen and Wendy McDowell. Rowan.
Hi, I'm Rowan. I'm your WILPF for PPC liaison and one of the unleaders of the San Jose branch on unceded Tamian land in San Jose, California.
Wonderful, thank you. Okay, Barbara Nielsen is a board member. Barbara? Barbara Nielsen?
Yes.
Can you introduce yourself? You have 20 seconds left.
You just did.
Okay, this is check-in. Okay, on to Wendy. Okay, we seem to have lost Wendy. Cheryl Spencer, followed by Diane Blay and YH Pat, sorry. Cheryl.
Good afternoon. I am a member of the Palo Alto Peninsula branch here in Northern California. I joined WILPF in 2012 when I realized it worked against war and nuclear weapons. I'm a co-chair of the Disarm End Wars Committee, where I concentrate on eliminating nuclear weapons, and this is one of my peace roses that I grow. Thank you.
Diane, if you can unmute. Okay, let's go on to YH Pratt. If Diane unmutes, we'll call on her. YH?
It's YH Pat. I'm on Sissepaw land. I'm a 5-year member of the Triangle, North Carolina branch. I appreciated the Congress for its breadth and its depth as an activist on the ground in Palestine, Latin America, Cuba, and in the third world in the United States. I really appreciate you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, YH, and my apologies. I always misread your last name. Marcy Hensey is next, then CC Anderson, and then from there. So Marcy, do you want to check in?
Hi.
Okay.
I came to WILPF from outreach through the Pittsburgh branch in Pennsylvania about 4 or 5 years ago. I'm currently active on the finance committee, and I try to attend the Women, Money, and Democracy when I can.
Thank you. You had a few more seconds there. My apologies. CC Anderson, followed by Ann Hoiberg.
Thank you. Good afternoon, good evening. I'm CC Anderson in Atlanta Metro Branch, recruited by Teresa Alamine. I am on the board and also the personnel chair, and I'm an environmentalist. and healthcare science. Thank you.
Thank you. Ann Hoiberg. Okay, if you unmute, Ann, I'll be happy to call on you. Is there anyone I missed? It's hard to keep track of people as one is doing this.
Go back and call Nancy.
Yeah, I'm back.
Nancy Price, would you please check in?
Yeah. So I live in Davis, California. I meet up with the Sacramento branch. I've been a member since the early 2000s, first with the Save the Water committee, and now I'm co-chair of the Earth Democracy Committee. We're going to be working on human right to water and health, on fossil fuels, on eco-feminism and food sovereignty, and some other topics. We're going to continue our work on PFAS and the militarypoisons.org project. Thank you very much. You can email me at earthdemocracy@wilfus.org, and we're looking to add to our committee. And
thank you, Nancy.
Thank you.
Sorry. I'm rushing along. I wonder, Tina, do you know how long we took for member check-in?
I see Sheila Harper's hand raised. Was she called upon?
I did call on you, Sheila, didn't I?
No,
yes.
you
no.
didn't.
Oh,
That's okay.
I apologize.
That's
Please
okay.
Go right
That's
ahead.
okay. My name is Sheila Harper, and I'm trying to start my video, but somehow it's unable to access. But anyway, I'm from the Philadelphia branch. I've been involved with WILPF, recruited by Teresa L. Amin, approximately going on 2 years, maybe a year and a half, somewhere around in there. I've been involved with the Advancing Human Rights. I've been involved in doing the anti-racism work. And I think that the anti-racism work is extremely important as it relates to WILPF, because I have observed things that need to be changed. So that's it.
Thank you. And my apologies for having missed you. I gave you an extra 5 seconds. Oh boy. I don't know if Tina is here to tell us how long we used for self-introductions.
Yes,
George,
I'm here. So I did it the opposite way. We have what's left on the agenda is 36 minutes, and we have 25 minutes. So if you can cram, we can take shave off some minutes off of each. That's
thank you. So for regional meetings, I hope, George, you can fit this into 5 minutes. You're on.
Hi, I'm George. We just met. I want you to think about follow up from this meeting. And we were at a conference in person. We might want to get together soon after this meeting, or anytime in the next year. I want to suggest that you consider having a meeting in your region and an in-person meeting, if at all possible. The most important thing for us, as we are organizing in our local communities, as we are building power together as an organization, are relationships, the relationships we can have with each other. And it's very difficult to do that when you're not in person. And it's been so long since some of us have gotten together that it's very vital to be able to sit in the same space and consider what we can do together. You could have a regional meeting that's around a specific topic, like Gaza or reparations, or you could have a regional meeting that focuses on something that's key in your area, water quality. You may want to shut down an arms supplier in your area. And what's great is you can work together and build together some strategies. You could have a whole day just on strategic planning. So, as your program chair, I'm recommending that you consider what set a time. You might want to set a time soon. And, thinking about the rest of the year is difficult in some ways. And some of your members are going to get swept up in elections no matter what. But, I wouldn't recommend having your regional meeting about elections. But strategic planning, focused work on actions, and doing what will strengthen your branch and all the branches in your area. And when I mention regional, I'm thinking about 3 or 4 states at a time, not more than 4 states, because that depends on where you are and where there are members to meet with. So there you go. All right, that's 3.5 minutes.
So we have time for questions.
That's as short as I can do.
That was great. We have time for questions, and I see Teresa, you have 1 minute.
Well, I think we should define regions. I think of it as Northeast, Southeast, Southwest, Northwest, and Midwest. And when I say Southeast, I mean Virginia all the way around to Alabama. So people, and that includes Florida. So people who are in the Jane Addams branch, I'm great to learn that there's somebody on development who's actually next door in Alabama. So I think, Madam George, it would be great to define regions the way we've talked about regions in other strategic conversations we've had. Northeast, Southeast, Southwest, Northwest, and Midwest. Thank you.
Thank you, and well timed. Regina, and just incidentally, at this time, we are not defining regions, but it's a subject for discussion. Regina.
Yes, I think it's a great idea. It's not new to WILF. We've had regional meetings before, and the last time I was involved in organizing, we had a specific topic, and we had the regions meet, and then we had organized well, now we do Zoom, but at that time we did a conference call with all the 4 regions at the same time on the last day. So it was kind of focused on a particular topic. And then there was a time when we could, across the country, come back and share what we learned. And then each region who was able to do it had a written report. There were difficulties with weather at that time because there was a snowstorm in Ann Arbor. So I think it's a great idea. It's interesting. And I think it could take some focus and some planning.
Thank you. And Laura George.
I too like the regional meeting idea, but I was going to ask about full Congress meetings. Is this the only time we get together? I'm new, so I apologize. Is this the only time that all members are asked to be on the same Zoom call? Because I think if we're talking about growing WILF and we're open to new ideas, it's something that full membership should be pondering, and presentations should be made to the full membership.
Yeah,
there are triennial meetings of the international and US section, and that's every 3 years. So next year for 2025, yeah, it's every 3 years, and you're having a regional meeting means that your folks in your region can do work in between.
So if we're looking for, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but if we're looking for radical change, I would propose that this full Congress needs to meet much more frequently than once every 3 years.
So this is a proposal that can certainly go to the national board. And I think we're out of time for now on this topic. So I'm sorry to other people who have their hands up. We do have a very tight agenda, and I will screen share that agenda again for people's reference, and we've got even shorter times now. So our next topic is national involvement and elections in WILPF We have 5 minutes for this topic, and I'm trying to get my timer to work. Okay, so
I can do the timer.
Thank you. Well, I was just timing myself, and
Okay.
please do time this. I wanted to explain real quickly that we will be presenting most likely a bylaws amendment to say that in the future, not this year, but in the future, those running for the board should have 2 years of national experience. And that means on an issue committee, on a board committee, on a national ad hoc committee. So if you're interested in getting more experience at the national level, you can contact the board member who is a chair of a board committee to see if you can visit one of their meetings and whether they would consider having you come regularly. You can contact the issue committees and be active with them. And you can contact me to find out more about other ad hoc kinds of things. And I think I got that in under a minute. I want to invite Ellen Schwartz to speak for a couple minutes about the national elections. Ellen?
I'll speak very briefly. Let's see, did I say I was gonna spotlight myself? Everybody else did a spotlight. There we go. Well, so very briefly, there are elections to the board coming up, and what is that? Oh, that's the agenda.
Go ahead.
Okay, isn't that wonderful? There are a number of open offices, and the nominating committee is going to be trying to dragoon all of those of you who have been members for at least 2 years into running for the board. If you think I'm doing a crappy job as nominating committee chair, good. This is your opportunity to run for nominating committee chair, because I'm just filling out a term. The normal term for WILPF board members is 3 years, but we have several terms that were left hanging. So there are 1 or 2 years left in them, and they'll be subject to election as well. And I'm gonna, I promise that I'll send out an e-alert to every member that lays out the deadline for applying and how to apply and what are the offices that are open, and if we can figure out what you have to do to serve in those offices, the job descriptions will be present also, and you should run for the board, because it shouldn't just be recycling me over and over again.
Thank you. Tina, how much time do we have left on this item?
We have 2 minutes left.
Okay, so 2 people I can fit in, maybe 3 if they're short. Any questions? I'm sorry, Teresa, until other people have had a chance to ask questions first, I won't be returning to people. So any other questions? Okay, Teresa, you go ahead.
Just a quick question. The bylaws proposal you mentioned, it would not go into effect in this election cycle, I'm guessing.
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay, and Dr. Ridley.
I'm not sure if I'm out of order in terms of the discussion. I was going to suggest one of the challenges has been communication in terms of the number of emails we get. And I was wondering if WILPF has ever considered an online access only space where members and regions can communicate, so that is not left to making sure you catch that email that went out that you didn't see, since the membership is so large.
Yeah, we have tried a discussion forum in the past, and we had problems with that, but perhaps now that we've had more experience, we could try it again. And Kim Poole.
Since we have an extra minute, this was actually, I think, more appropriate under Miss George, but it's about the International Congress, because it's happening next year and it is going to be at an international location. Is there anything that's going to be discussed about that during this conference or Congress so we can start to prepare? And my other suggestion is WhatsApp. I know that email is the go-to medium, but is there any consideration around infrastructure for a WhatsApp group chat? And if you're familiar with WhatsApp because you're already working internationally, then you kind of know how it works. And if not, I could certainly give a tutorial. Thanks.
So that's a great question, Kim. I plan to get in touch with you about that more later, and we're out of time on this item. So Cynthia, maybe you can bring up a question on the next item. The next item is a financial update from Barbara Nielsen, and we have 5 minutes for that. So Barbara, you're on.
So let me start. My name is Barbara Nielsen. I am currently the treasurer of National U.S. section of WILPF. I have been the treasurer in the past. This is my second year of this term. And I joined WILPF in 1971 and have been active in the organization since that time. As many of you know, and some of you may not know, we are incorporated as a nonprofit membership corporation in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, which is where our headquarters used to be. And because we're a nonprofit membership corporation, that means that our members are our stakeholders. Each one of us who is a member owns WILPF. And my feeling about my position as elected treasurer is that I have a personal responsibility to everyone in the organization because we are dealing with members' money in a way that is in some ways more direct than in some other organizations. You can find in the Peace and Freedom magazine that came out fairly recently, which has that very interesting retro graphic on the cover. It does in fact have the treasurer's report from the budget year 2023. If you go and find your most recent Peace and Freedom, this is what the cover looked like, and you scroll through, if you can go those next 2 pages. The first page is all text, and then the second page that is part of this is a really cool chart that gives you the numbers that say basically we're spending more money than we're bringing in. And that's the status of 2023. And the other document that Ellen tried bringing up for me is that looks like a piece of Excel, which it is the status of 2024. And what it comes down to is right now we just approved a budget. What it tells us is basically in 2024, our budget total income is $146,000 and change. And our total expenses is $282,000 and change. So that our net is a negative $136,000 until we move money over from some savings accounts that we have, which we had to do. And so our total net after doing that movement is a negative $3,300. So we're running in the red as it stands now with our income level the way it is. And by income, I mean cash flow. And by cash flow, what I mean is new money that we are bringing into WILPF. So we have in the past done a lot of balancing budgets by taking money out of one or another savings account and bringing it in to balance our books. And by doing that over a number of years, we have decreased the numbers of dollars we've had in savings. And right now we're kind of at a bare budget and some restricted funds that we really are not supposed to touch. What does that mean? It means that we have a great opportunity to be creative about finding new ways to bring new money into WILPF. Our dedicated development committee and our development consultant is working hard. They're working hard to try to find new ways to bring in money. And We are also thinking about asking many members who can to consider, instead of once a year giving your $35 membership, which is greatly appreciated, if you have the ability to consider changing to a monthly membership of $10 a month, that could wind up bringing us in $120 instead of $35. And that would be really cool too. That doesn't mean we don't love every $35 membership, but that means that that's another way to bring in money. We had a special amount of money come in this year from an endowment, basically, to for special products to look at hiring an executive director for the first time in a number of years. And those funds are a separate project from our general budget. And I'm not the person who will be talking about that, but it's very exciting.
Help me welcome Laura Dewey from the Detroit branch to talk to us once again about the Lloyd Family Legacy presentation. Thanks again, guys.
Hi, everybody. Thank you, Martha. Good to see you. I am here. I'm from the Detroit branch. I'm the president of that branch. And I'm here to tell you about an exciting opportunity. To do that, I'm going to share my screen and show you a PowerPoint. So I'm here to tell you about an exciting opportunity which presented itself a couple of years ago. I think it's been 2 years. And after my presentation, we'll do Q&A and we'll bring Marybeth Gardam on board for that too. The Lloyd Family Legacy Campaign is a project that seeks to provide sustainability for WILPF so that we can grow, recruit more members, and expand our political activism. A generous donation by Robin and other donors will help make this possible. The Lloyd Family Legacy Campaign at WILPF launches at a time when the role of WILPF, the role of women in the United States leading peace could not be more essential. This campaign builds on Robin Lloyd's lifetime activism and support for WILPF US. It also builds on the generational investment in freedom, democracy, and peace of the Lloyd Maverick Demarest family. The Lloyd family has been supporting and collaborating with WILPF US for over 100 years. Lola Maverick Lloyd, pictured here, is actually Robin's grandmother and was a contemporary of Jane Addams, and she helped establish the first International Women's Congress, which later evolved into Women's International League for Peace and Freedom. For all the intervening years, Lloyd contributions have kept WILPF US moving forward even through difficult times. In late 2022, we approached Robin with the idea of setting up a Lloyd Family Legacy Fund for WILPF to keep us our organizational sustainable for the future. And in in January 2023, Robin agreed to donate $500,000 to WILPF US for the next 2 years, which includes the $40,000 that she has been donating annually for operating expenses. $440,000 of the donation is restricted to the purposes that I'll outline in a minute. It will not go toward day-to-day operations. So we still need the support of our members and other donors to fund WILPF so we can continue to accomplish our goals. With Robin's donation, the Lloyd Family Legacy was born and a committee was formed to make her legacy a reality. In consultation with Robin, the committee met for nearly a year to discuss a proposal for spending these funds in the most effective way. Robin had one caveat, and that is she wanted her money to go, at least in part, to hire a strong, capable executive director who could represent WILPF US among our peace organizations, who could assist in strong program coordination, and be a visionary leader in the mold of some of our past WILPF executive directors, and presidents, such as Mildred Olmsted, Kay Camp, Marilyn Clements, and others. We need somebody who could lead internally and also help develop a powerful outreach to grow WILPF's visibility and increase our numbers across the U.S. Now, the committee discussed goals that could be achieved with Robin's gift. The campaign centers 4 interconnected and coordinated goals for the rest of the 2020s. This includes those that Robin, our primary donor, have articulated as the most essential for us to move forward. The major goals are 1, to hire professional staff to lead the organization and develop program, communications, and fundraising strategies so that we're not depending entirely on an exhausted volunteer leadership. Another goal is to visually reimagine WILPF US through a strong activist identity to attract and onboard young activists. Also, another goal is to analyze and to coordinate our program strategies more effectively. And finally, to build capacity with strategic support for new and existing branches. We decided on 3 overarching needs. The first is to have a full-time executive director who will be engaged in day-to-day operations, management, and program coordination. The second need is to have a well-conceived and executed re-envisioning campaign, which provides WILPF US with a contemporary look and appeals to younger, more activist women. And finally, a pilot program of field organizers on the ground in a few cities. We want to establish a WILPF presence, either through rebuilding an existing branch or starting a new one. So Robin's donation will fund 2 components, 3 staff persons and a re-envisioning initiative. The first staff person that will be hired is the actually this person was already hired, but the most important position is the executive director, who would be full-time and run for 2 years at least. WILPF needs a very skilled executive director with program experience, fundraising connections, nonprofit finance acumen, people skills, and the gravitas to lead a national peace organization and to represent us among peace peers. It will be essential that the board retain control over policy and governance decisions. The executive director's job description will be fully fleshed out and well-defined in the realms of day-to-day operations, management, and program coordination. Now, WILPF members were sent a poll last Friday, a couple days ago, asking them for their thoughts on what the role of the ED should be, and your input will be considered in the writing of the job description. Now, some of you may have tried to fill out the poll on Friday, and there was a technical glitch. The glitch has been fixed, so if you're unable to go on that poll, try again, it'll work. And the deadline to submit your responses is June 14th, but the sooner you send them in, the better. The second position that will be funded with Robin's gift is actually already existing, the campaign project manager. We hired Kyle Grassi in a 10-month position just in April this year. She has been providing focused project management to keep the tasks and assignments on track. Her job is to keep the campaign going. This includes organizing the search for the executive director, which involves facilitating search committee meetings, working on the job description for the executive director after the poll is completed, and then scheduling interviews for prospects. She will also help in the search for a rebranding company, facilitating choices of images and words to modernize our look. And then the last position that Robin's gift would fund is the campaign managing director. This person will provide support to the executive director for the first year after the executive director is hired. And we've asked Chris Wilbeck, who already works for WILPF as an independent contractor, to take on this role for 1 year. She already handles our bookkeeping and data management. We would add 8 hours a week to her schedule. And Chris's job would be to familiarize the executive director with Donor Perfect, which is our software for donations, and the WILPF budget figures, and also provide more support to the board and the LFL campaign generally. The second part that Robin's gift would fund is re-envisioning initiative. We plan to hire a rebranding company which has experience with women's causes and activist organizations. They will develop choices for new graphics that can be used across all our publications, social media, and our website. We do not anticipate retiring our Dove logo or our rather long name, but we do believe that the right company will help us reimagine the Dove and create a design that floats over our name and positions us as a younger and more activist organization in the minds of women who see it. We will be reimagining our identity for the first time in 50 years. So if we are to grow WILPF and fully support the programming and ensure the success of the new executive director, more staff will be needed. We anticipate leveraging Robin's gift to anchor additional major donations to pay for the rest of the campaign's goals during this unprecedented campaign for WILPF. And this is at a time when progressive women recognize the need to organize in nonpartisan solidarity organizations. So if additional funds come in, we propose these following extra staff people. One is a development contractor. This person would be hired for 2 years part-time. This position would add hours to the development staff that we already have. And her task would be not only to help the current development staff in continuing the fundraising for operating needs, but also to fundraise for the LFL campaign so that we can hire additional staff. The second position is a program coordinator. Starting after the executive director has become oriented and begun working effectively with WILPF program, we hope to hire a part-time program coordinator who would work with the executive director and the program chairs to creatively connect program and issue committee projects with the branches and the public. So we have been missing for quite a long time strategic coordination and consistent support for programs. And this is because we are entirely pretty much a volunteer organization. So the program coordinator will work closely with the 2 program chairs and provide much needed support. This position will also connect with fundraising and outreach. We also want to hire field organizers. After the executive director is on board and up to speed, we want to hire 2 to 4 experienced part-time field organizers in pilot programs in select cities. And this depends on how much additional funds that we can raise by then. The executive director would help design the way this pilot project would work, and the goals will be on-the-ground organizing to connect new and rebuild branches with local issues, local allies, local donors, and influencers among progressive women to yield new members and a more engaged connection to our newly reimagined national programs and actions. So the Lloyd Family Legacy Campaign Committee finalized this plan last summer, and we presented to the board over a period of a couple months. And then in late fall of last year, the board approved this plan. Now, the second part if to go beyond Robin's donation, we need to look at who will be our other donor leads. They will include Lloyd's family and friends, as well as other WILPF legacy families. Current WILPF U.S. major donors who would be willing to significantly increase their donations as a way of funding this major campaign. And new donor leads that we have been tracking and with whom we've been making soft overtures throughout 2023 and this year. Finally, foundations that contribute to general operations and capacity growing campaigns. So when will the campaign end? We will announce victory when we've raised an additional $400,000 to $500,000 to meet the goals that we have set for the next 2 to 3 years. But the Lloyd Family Legacy Campaign will go on. We need it to inspire continued fundraising by our professional staff and members. It will result in renewed energy and re-engagement among our current and new major donors. It will transform the very nature and culture of WILPF. Being able to document and impact and increase this capacity will inspire new donors to invest in a sustainable future. Together, women can create transformative change by working strategically together. And the Lloyd Family Legacy Campaign at WILPF aims to extend capacity to achieve that vision. I want to thank you for listening, taking the time, and also we need to thank Robin Lloyd for extremely a generous donation and her vision. Thank you. And now we'll take questions. I don't know if I will have access to the questions.
I can see them in the chat if people want to put them into the chat, or you can raise your hands. Sometimes it's harder to see them, the raised hands, than the chat questions. I'm not seeing any questions.
Marybeth, Ellen Barfield had a comment. Where'd it go? Yes, Ellen Barfield had a comment. Do
I
you see
see that she says another organization she works with got a very generous donation and nearly went bankrupt by relaxing ongoing fundraising and outreach. That's an important point. Thank you, Ellen. And we don't intend to stop fundraising for our regular operational expenses that our members' donations and dues help fund. And Robin has committed for the next 2 years to continue to support our operational expenses as well. We're envisioning most of the Lloyd Legacy campaign to be new dollars or one-time expansion dollars from existing major donors. So we don't want our members to say, oh, we have this huge amount of money now, we don't have to continue to support WILPF. That's not true at all. We are investing in trying to update our visibility in the world, our outreach to national peer organizations, attending national conferences that we haven't, been able to participate in for a long time, and really thinking strategically about the next 3 to 5 years, which we've been in a kind of a survival mode for the last few years. Our leaders are getting older and tired. I'm speaking for myself here. And we're hoping that a younger professional with fundraising and finance experience and nonprofit leadership experience can help us switch gears to become a more dynamic and out-facing organization, and really put in the strategic planning need that we haven't been able to get to, because we're just constantly trying to keep pace and react. And as you all know, it's important to be able to react, but it's really just as important to be thinking strategically about what the needs are for the organization, where our energy should be on our issues, how we can coordinate and collaborate more meaningfully, and how we can demonstrate more impact in everything that we do. So yeah, I see Ellen strongly urging caution. Yep, I mean, we have a group of pretty experienced WILPF members and leaders, including Laura, Martha, our former president, Chris Morin, Cindy Domingo, who co-leads the Cuba Committee, and we had also Betty Burks from our past president. We have a search committee made up of several board members. We've been working for over a year now to try to very carefully consider the best way forward. Sheila says, are our job descriptions itemized, available in writing for distribution? Well, thank you for asking. The survey that we sent out on Friday, we're really looking for input from that to be able to develop a job description. We'll be using your input to do that. And once that is written up, of course, we'll share it. My defensive excuses, I don't need.
Marybeth, Cheryl and Regina also have their hands up, just so you know.
Oh, okay, thank you. I don't feel that these are defensive excuses, Ellen. We're just trying to explain the kind of preparation that went into these plans. It's not one person leading this. It's a committee of people who have WILF's best interests at heart and have a lot of experience in the organization. And I'll also say that one of the qualifications we'll be looking for is someone who has a deep understanding of what feminist leadership is all about. So let's see, who else's hands are up?
Cheryl Spencer.
Cheryl, go ahead, Cheryl.
Yes, this is fabulous news. I really didn't know very much about this until the last week or so. So when I give to WILF, I go through the Peace Development Fund because I intend for the donation to be tax deductible. So are you still going to be using the Peace Development Fund to take tax deductible donations?
Well, certainly for people who are donating large amounts, that makes a lot of sense. But I have to say that with the changes in the tax laws, you might want to consult your financial advisors about this. But what my financial advisor told me was that unless you're donating $30,000 a year or more, not just to one organization, but to many organizations, the tax law changes have made it almost impossible to claim tax deductible status for your donations. So if you're considering, if the total that you give each year is less than $30,000, you may consider donating directly to WILF, foregoing a tax deduction because you're not going to get one anyway. And what that would mean is that that money would come directly to WILF in a more timely way and without the 7% management fee that our fiscal partner deducts and keeps. So you're certainly free to continue to use the Peace Development Fund. It's just that this is something that you need to think about and maybe consult your accountant or your financial advisor. And I see Laura George said the tax deduction is based on your personal AGI. Yes, it's based on how much total you give each year. And I would venture to say that very few of us in WILF are in a position to give $30,000 a year in contributions. So I urge you to think about that. Robin says, just to say the donation was given with the recommendation that an executive director be hired. Exactly. And next, Regina Burcham, I see your hand is up.
Yes, I think I express a really gratitude to Robin Lloyd and her foresight and thinking ahead. I think we're all thank her, and for all the years she has really supported both international WILF and national. what is very interesting to me is that the national office is also searching for a new general secretary. So they also want somebody on staff and day-to-day management. So I think both of these are very hopeful signs, and I really appreciate the committee and all of you that worked to develop a plan. It fills me with a great deal of optimism and hope. Thank you.
Thanks, Regina. I appreciate that. Teresa. You're muted, Teresa. You're still muted. Let's go to Judy Adams. We'll come back to Teresa. Judy, go ahead. Judy, you're also muted.
Yes, during the process of getting this whole proposal together, how much involvement was with our current board to talk about the issues, and how will the continuing board be involved in terms of structure and campaign goals?
So we envision the executive director being mostly involved in administration, management, finance, helping to prepare our annual budget, overseeing staff, handling the day-to-day business of WILPF, and also supporting the board and the Lloyd family legacy efforts, doing fundraising for us as well, and representing us on a broad national stage. The board will, of course, maintain its role in defining policies for WILPF and governing on a more a higher level, not as much demand for day-to-day decision making. So hopefully our board will review everything, but will not be in a position where we have to do everything ourselves. I think it's been difficult to recruit some board members because the demands have been so heavy on day-to-day operations. And we're hoping that this executive director will take over some of that load, support the board, but there should be a pretty clear division of duties and responsibilities. I hope.
Okay, but part of my question was also, how were they consulted in setting up this whole new project?
How was the board consulted? Well, we spoke with them initially in October and presented the overall plan, like a pretty general picture. And then between October and November, we met with each board member to go over the plan in more detail, the budget, the timing, the timeline, the reasoning why we were doing this and how we were proceeding. And then in November at the board meeting, we once again presented the proposal as a whole, and it was voted on and approved.
Great. And did you pull, did I hear you say that some member groups were consulted with?
We're doing that now. We've sent out a survey, and we're hoping for input that will help us better determine exactly the skills we're looking for and prioritizing in the job description, and where our members feel that this person should be putting the majority of their energies.
That's great. You've been very thorough and professional. It's just news, but you've been working on it all the time. Thank you. Thanks.
Teresa, you're unmuted.
Well, I hope you can hear me.
Yes.
Good. because the questions I put in the chat with a comment about verbosity, I joined the meeting around 12:30ish. So I'm not sure. Is this the membership meeting? What is this session?
This session is only about the Lloyd family legacy, trying to explain to our members what it is, how it is envisioned, and what the plan might
Well,
be.
thank you.
and how-
Thank you.
How they
On
can,
the verbosity, stop, please stop, Marybeth. I do know about that. And because time is so limited, Marybeth, you know, it's very important to allow for more voices on this, because I do have a comment and I don't want to go over 3 minutes. And I have said to Robin directly that I feel the use of her privilege to direct the staffing for a democratic organization that is a membership organization, that people sometimes refer to us as volunteers. Well, I am not a volunteer. My liberation depends on the Women's International League for Peace and Freedom succeeding as a feminist peacemaking organization, and all of the elderly women of European descent who are so tired. Well, I am not tired. And the Black Liberation Caucus started a 3-year strategic plan in January of 2022. It's based on increasing membership involvement by building branches, particularly in the U.S. South, and we have been very successful. Madeline Reese said with her own mouth, "You are unstoppable," in reference to the Black Liberation Caucus. The Black Liberation Caucus is represented by WILPF International, and it's frowned on by the leadership in the U.S. section. It is why we need the diversity, equity, and inclusion process to involve more than just 5 branches. Right now, we have Sacramento, Boston, Humboldt, Burlington, and Greater Philadelphia. Those are the only branches committed to DEI, and you must do it in order to transform this organization with a history of institutional racism, because we're unstoppable in the Black Liberation Caucus. There may be a couple of us in this meeting, but I'm confident that we will continue to run for national board seats. And in terms of our objective, we want the national board to reflect that this has grown to be an anti-racist organization. Do not try to erase us. Do not ignore us. I am the chair of the Advancing Human Rights Committee. I think there are maybe 2 issue committees led by women of African descent, maybe 2. That's I think the one that D. Murphy leads, and Advancing Human Rights. I can't think of any others, but we want to transform WILPF into an anti-racist organization. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Teresa. Laura?
Yeah, I want to address Judy's question about governance. I think it's really important that the board not have to deal with day-to-day issues, so they can deal with higher level issues, which I call political, programmatic policy. And, you know, the WILPF board members need time to have deep dive discussions on issues. What issues we're going to support, what organizations are we going to ally ourselves with, what is going to be our role, you know, in any given situation. So, you know, when the Gaza war started happening, you know, you had to make the decisions on, okay, what's going to be our stance? When there's any new development, the board has to come up with positions. And it's so important that they have the time to do that and to leave the day-to-day operations of WILPF to an executive director. But I'd like to see the board be able to engage in more substantive conversations about politics. And they can't do it when they're really just working so hard, keeping up the organization, keeping it going. Thank you.
Odile, you're up.
I was a little surprised that we were considering hiring an executive director because I remember I was on a board when we had consultant and they were very expensive, and in the end it didn't really change the organization the way we would have liked to change the organization in order to recruit things. So there are these type of people that are very expensive and are hired and do not know WILPF very well and don't have the passion that many members have. So I thought to have some kind of collective committee that would work instead of an executive director might be more beneficial. Anyway, that's one of my point of view.
Thank you, Odile. I would agree with you, except that it's getting to be harder and harder to have people who have the time and energy to put into this kind of leadership discernment. And we're not looking for this person to set policy and determine governance as much as to help guide us and enable that kind of collaboration and coordination that has been missing. I share your concerns, but I'm really hopeful that working together, we can come up with someone who fits the feminist leadership mold, who understands feminist leadership, who is committed to peace and the issues that we are involved with. I urge people to take that survey and give us your input, because we will be using it to better envision the kind of person that we're looking for, the kind of skills we're prioritizing. Dasha, your hand is up.
So having been staff to organizations that had executive directors and then didn't have executive directors and semi-dysfunctional boards, which you all are not, I do definitely suggest that clear lines be drawn, not in order to not overburden your executive director and your staff. It's hard work to support a board, and when the board when the board has been doing some things and then lets go of those, they also sometimes let go of other things that the executive director then has to pick up unless it just gets dropped. And if you hire somebody who cares, they're going to pick it up. And it's extremely hard, extremely hard. I would be happy to be on a team with the Advancing Human Rights and any other issue committee and branch members who ultimately become part of your team that develops the job description and puts the call out. Thank you.
Yeah, we would we have a search committee. We're pretty much at it's a pretty large committee. What I'd suggest is that you allow us to share a draft of a job description with you, all and give us feedback. I think that's really the best way to have input into this, but we would really welcome your ongoing advice and input, Dasa, and everybody. I see that, let's see who else is here. Cheryl says other branches are already working on DEI, so they're not doing George's current training. Doesn't mean they're not committed to DEI goals. Yeah, I don't think everyone was invited to George's DEI training, so I think this.
Every branch was invited, Marybeth, please.
Okay, all right.
Every branch.
All right, I tried to find out when it was and how to join it, and was told that not everyone was being invited, but okay. I'm glad the branches were all invited. I see Martha says, absolutely, Laura, the board should deal with governance and not operations. I also want to see WILPF become an anti-racist organization, as mentioned, but who will lead the effort? We want to grow branches and membership, but who will take charge, leading, fundraising, and identify resources to support their grassroots efforts? Yes, we are a membership organization, but who is the face of brand ambassador for WILPF? We have no identity, even with the great work many are doing, which makes fund development nearly impossible. So please complete the survey and provide your thoughts and input so we can make sure your voices are heard. Okay. Mary Hanson-Harrison says, thank you for your thoughtful work. She wants us to use the word intergenerational. The age of successful women who were our foremothers was not to dismiss the energy older women can give to the peace movement. Of course, that's been who we are. Eileen, you're on mute.
Right. Well, I guess there's two things now. I had to search up an invitation to attend the DEI training, which was wonderful. I recommend every single branch to participate. It has wonderful resources, chances to talk through some of the things that are important. And in my area, there is a divided community on many issues. Racism is very prevalent and still in the Boston area. And there's a big divide in many parts of where I live, not far from the Boston hub, between Jews and Arabs. It's been it's been difficult. Having said that, let's get back to the real issue of what you're covering and hiring somebody. I am worried, and as I have shared with you, about the ongoing expense of a director. I do love hopium. I sometimes live on it, but to carry forth on the wonderful funds that Robin has provided, I hope they can stretch and get us somebody who's really good, who can bring in more money, because it's going to be hard raising funds. As you know, I'm on the development committee and make calls for WILPF, and have had semi-success, and we all have, actually. So when I suggest this, it'll be in writing as well, because I've noticed that in Mass Peace Action, the leader, the director, is working part-time at a good salary, but he does have an assistant for slightly less. If that's possible, we might be able to save some money. And I don't know whether somebody would like to be hired in that situation. But
Eileen, I just want to say that the proposal that we put forward, we spent a lot of time as a group thinking through this. Our option was to put that money towards business as usual, keeping WILF going the way it has been going. And we felt that to do that was to miss a huge opportunity to think beyond where we are now. And who knows when we'll, if ever, we'll get this kind of opportunity again to hire someone who has a more current, modern idea of how nonprofits should work, how leadership in a feminist organization can be both inclusive and forward-moving. So often we get stalled and we can't seem to get out of our own way. We need to take this opportunity
Absolutely.
to move things forward in ways that we may never get the chance to do again. So I see Martha's hand up. Go ahead, Martha.
I want to also say that, you know, we keep talking about this one position. In, you know, fundraising is hard, whether we had an executive director or not. I don't want us to think, oh, we have this person in place now. We all can kind of step back and let them do their job, right? In a sense, we're all fundraisers. It's not one person's job, and we're going to be setting them up to fail, frankly. Also, keeping in mind this process, these group of individuals, these long conversations, Lord, and emails that have gone back and forth and all of that, we have not only this opportunity, but another. Because again, this is a family legacy. So Lloyd and other family members, Robin's family members could become potential donors as well. So knowing that, yes, this money has come in, we need to raise more money. It's an opportunity there for us to talk to other family members and hire more people. So I love the idea, Eileen, of like, oh, this person being part-time and some of those dollars being to an assistant or more of a program director or a field organizer, because I know there's been conversations about, well, at the branch level, we need to have, you know, people in the communities and things of that nature. I think it's a plethora of different options and ways that we can go about doing this. But I want us to be clear that it's not just this is a once in a maybe lifetime opportunity for us to see and witness for the organization, this amount of a donation, but there's also potential of getting other donors. Oftentimes when you write these grants, they want to know who's already given to you, or they may want to do a match. So it's just so much there that, you know, I don't want us to get bogged down in the minutia of it, of like, and just not doing anything. And that is going to be the death of the organization, frankly. Like if we, as a group, as an organization, as members, as passionate leaders, community leaders around peace, don't come to a consensus on this could be it. And then what? Then we're going to be trying to figure out how to sunset this organization. So I just want us to like not just have this conversation now, but also fill out the survey and get involved. Be involved in the process and not just standing on the sidelines to see if it's going to be successful or if it's going to fail.
Moving right along. Our next item is Younger WILPF, and we have just 4 minutes for this, and I think we can do it in even fewer. Younger WILPF is an idea that I've brought up of having branches that would be for those who choose to be in such a branch, that would be for those age 50 and younger. And this would be one way to try to address some of the intergenerational gaps that we have. It's not easy for those of us who are in our 70s or 80s to speak the same language actually as some people in their 20s and 30s, but folks in their 40s and 50s may be better able to bridge those gaps. And hopefully then if there were 2 branches in one town, they would be able to get together for various kinds of events. But this is all about creating a space that's friendlier for younger people, and that still works for our older members. So I am welcoming input on this and discussion, but first we have questions and answers. And for this item, we only have 4 minutes. So Dee, did you want to make a comment?
Hi, so we may have a few extra minutes because we're still waiting on a yoga instructor who's next on his schedule. As far as the youth only branches, I'm not sure how I personally feel about that. I feel like I've benefited as a woman in her early 50s from the experience of the people who've been in this organization and doing this work for 30 or 40 years. There's a lot of things that you will miss if you just come in and just, start planning from today and don't know the foundation where you came from. Those are my thoughts. Thank you.
You're muted. You're muted, Darien.
Thank you. Thank you. This is not at all intended to cut off communications between those two groups. As I say, there would be other times when, if there are two branches in the same town or near towns, folks would be able to get together. So I see Randy Hicks has his hand up and he hasn't spoken before. So go ahead, Randy.
Okay, so I understand the fundraising issue. I get it. Our nonprofit is having the same thing. So what we did was we actually did two things. One, during these membership time, instead of donate, if you can't afford to donate monthly, what we did was when you pay your membership, add $10 or add $20. And so it's not, I know you people want under, they call the evergreen and PBS, that you want to donate monthly, but some people might not be able to do that because of finance, but just maybe at the end of the year, maybe when they can get those tax returns or they get something like that. The other thing we did was we did a Facebook fundraiser. It's sometimes it's successful and sometimes it's not, but it doesn't hurt to use social media, either be Facebook or Instagram, and say, hey, we need some money. And you'll be surprised. Some people don't want to join anything, but they'll be glad to give you money to everything. Just so much, because I do fundraising myself. I do fundraising for my nonprofit. And so that's what we do.
Time.
Okay, so moving right along, we're on to resolutions. Barbara Nielsen and Ellen Schwartz will be presenting on this. I think we're starting with Barbara, and we have 5 minutes for the entire item. So Barbara, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Go.
I'm ready. Resolutions are a favorite thing of mine. They are a favorite thing of many WILF members, and they have been in the past at both the U.S. section level and at international. Resolutions are problematic, however. If you don't know what a resolution is, really briefly, an issue comes up. We think we should have somebody, the issue around the U.S. border and what the INS is doing about the border is awful. This happened back in 2014. And there was a presentation on it at a Triennial Congress. And out of that presentation, many members said, we think it would be really good for us to start up a new issue committee about border militarization. And we had an in-person meeting. We went to the plenary, which was the membership open meeting, just like this one. And somebody drafted a resolution. It's got a bunch of whereases in it, and the bottom line was therefore we thought we should have a new issues committee, and we passed that at that Triennial Congress. We then, however, needed to put it into motion, and it wasn't really until the last couple of years that we started having members in a fairly formal issues committee on border militarization, and that's its wrong name, but I'm pushing right now to let you know we do now have that, but it took a lot of years to get it in place. So what we decided as we were looking for this particular Triennial Congress is resolutions are really cool, but we're not going to have time at this meeting to do much with them. So Ellen and I, who have been working on resolutions for a long time, decided to say, we'll hold a meeting after the Congress, invite everybody in the section who wants to talk about resolutions. We'll put together some guidelines on resolutions. One of the things that needs to be done is to focus on how are you going to implement them, and do you need money to implement them? And if so, how are you going to raise your money? So we'll get a bunch of information together on it. We'll set a meeting, maybe sometime in July, maybe early June or July, and we'll have a meeting on it. And the idea would be that if we can come up with resolutions, we would have a vote on the resolutions at the member ballot for board elections, because members vote on resolutions, and we're already having a member ballot, so we could put resolutions on that ballot. So that's the basic bottom line of pro resolutions, not at this particular Congress, and we'll be sending out information in an e-news and e-alert and other stuff fairly soon. Ellen, do you have more that you wanted to add? Am I missing
Nope, I
something?
think you covered everything.
Good. So thank you very much. We look forward to talking with people about it.
We have about 1 minute for questions if somebody wants to ask a question about resolutions. And if not, we'll move on to the next item. Please raise your hand.
I did have one question. I did have one question.
Wait, Randy, you have to raise your hand to get called on.
Oh, I'm terrible, aren't I?
Yep. Okay, I don't see other questions, so go ahead.
Okay, so this is about resolutions. Let me ask you something. How long, if somebody was to put an ideal in for a resolution, what's your timeline? How does that work?
Well, we're gonna, as I said to you, normally we would have had, if we had been doing it here, there would have been rules already and discussions about it. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna send out notice, Ellen and I are gonna send out notice to everybody, giving a timeline and some guidelines. And typically, if we want to get resolutions presented to the members this year for a vote, our timeline is we've got to have everything done and ready to get on the ballot to vote. And the ballot to vote is going to be by the end of the summer. So we're going to be pushing really fast for a turnaround, Randy.
And if we have a resolution already together.
Let me finish. And if you'd like to work with Ellen and me on it, let us know.
And Randy, I'm moving on to Robin. 30 seconds for a question, Robin.
Yeah.
Okay. 3 years ago, I proposed, and it was brought to international, a resolution that that will support the idea of a parliament in the United Nations, that the trusteeship building, which is basically vacant since trusteeship is no longer relevant, and this is something that is supported by a number of other groups. So I'm very glad that Barbara has brought this up, and I will try to get something together to take part this summer in creating the proposal.
Great, Robin, let me back up just for a second. We did some stuff on resolutions at International, and you know, but not everybody here who's here understands. We have international resolutions as well, and there were a couple that were passed at International, and I don't know the status of some of those. But we can work on your idea with what we're talking about going forward right now for US section. So thank you for raising that.
Yeah, I mean, you have to propose it to international, and I'm just trying to get it on the track to go.
Okay, excellent. We'll be talking with you.
Okay.
Thank you to Ellen and Barbara, who worked out this alternative approach to resolutions. And we have, I think, a couple minutes for Cricket, who is on the agenda for a couple of minutes to tell us about international things. So this is partly an answer to Kim's question. Cricket.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm the representative from our section to our region. A few years ago at one of our international meetings, it was we were presented with a decision which our personal section didn't agree with, but Janice Schlachter's our representative now, and or has been, I should say, and maybe it's been okay, I hope she'll say. But the whole world has been divided into regions, as was mentioned earlier, and we talked about it for the United States. I think it's one way that there can be a little more of a voice, because we do have a problem about time. We've invited some people from other parts of the world to be at this meeting, and I'm not sure if any of them came, because most of our time would have been the middle of the night for them, or, you know, crack of dawn. And that is a problem. So our regions in some way present a good thing. Our region is all of the Western Hemisphere, which is not such a good thing because we can't really get together, but at least we're able to give messages to our, you know, from our region to the international. I wanted to say one thing very quickly. I am just totally committed to us being an international organization. It means everything to me because we are one planet, and we need to look at most of our issues, not everything, but many of them as planetary. I actually learned about WILPF many decades ago on a train in Italy, where I met a woman from Perth, Australia, who was on her way to a meeting in Geneva for International WILPF. I'd never heard of WILPF. It took me a while to find a place that had a branch, but like many of you who have found WILPF, I've been very happy about that ever since, and have held on to my love of being a one planetary organization. I hope that when we get to the International WILPF Congress, if it happens next year, as I'm sure it will, please try to attend. You meet the most amazing women from all over the world, just like you've met here over these 5 days. WILPF is an outstanding place, and if you want to meet and know that you are supported by women's feminist energy from all over the planet, you can't find a better place to do it. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Cricket. I understand we have about 5 minutes and 30 seconds left, and I'm opening this up to general questions on any of the topics we've discussed or not discussed, but there's still a limit of 1 minute per person. So Judy actually before Judy, Nancy Price had her hand up, but Nancy went away. So Nancy Price, did you want to speak? Calling on Nancy Price.
Yes, thank you. I'd like to propose that after Ellen Thomas gets the recordings up on WILPF Smart or WILPF YouTube, that we post that in the international newsletter and let people know that they're there to watch. What would you think?
Oh, good idea. Yeah.
One of the challenges is, of course, we don't have them. They're in English only, but nevertheless, it's a rich resource, I think, and it would be very good to post that in the newsletter. Thank you.
And I will just mention, because we have a few more people now than we did an hour ago, that there will be a special replay of Sarah Thompson's concert from Friday night after the other scheduled programming tonight. So if you know anyone who missed it or loves music, you could let them know. Okay, Judy Adams.
I heard that from Cricket, all of Western Hemisphere. I thought there was an Americas group that WILPF was involved in.
Yes.
Would that be where we would start communicating?
Yes.
Okay.
Western Hemisphere is the Americas.
Well, some people might include parts of the Pacific.
Yeah. Well, if somebody could designate those nations, then we
Okay,
could...
let me just Jay's very quickly, it's all the countries in North, Central, and South America. Of course, Hawaii, which is the islands are out there. I believe that the islands that are beyond the date line are part of a different region. So I don't think of them as the Western Hemisphere. You might well be right. I'm going to have to look at my globe.
So,
Thanks,
yeah,
Judy.
so North, Central, and South America.
Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Not the whole Western Hemisphere.
Well, that is essentially the Western Hemisphere. It does, Canada and Greenland, that whole area is
So
part of the region.
Let's zip along. We don't have a branch or a section in Greenland. Lois
You're right,
Herman
we
is-
don't. It would
Lois
be if
Herman-
we had a branch, okay.
Lois Herman has not had a chance to speak, so Lois, please unmute and you have 1 minute.
Let's say is that the UN has 5 economic zones. And we are part of UNECE, which includes Europe, United States, Canada, some parts of Eastern Europe, and they are the ones that are reviewing the strategy for Beijing +30 at the next CSW. Thank you.
Okay, so we still have time for more comments, and if other people want to raise their hands, especially if you haven't been called on already, I see Sheila and Teresa.
Yes,
And
we have 2 minutes until the next, I need to introduce the next panel.
okay, Sheila, you have 45 seconds at this point.
Okay, 2 things. One of the things that sticks out toward, for me is the fact that the need to not just recruit, but to make African American and people of color feel a little bit more heard, better heard. I guess that's the best way I can put it at this point right now. But there's something in the U.S. WILF, and I think it's that issue of not recognizing the BLC that is in contradiction to the international WILF. And I think that needs to be resolved, discussed, because it's really important for myself as an African American woman to feel welcome and that I have a voice. And I guess that's all I have to say at this point about that, but it's one of my observations over the last year. I realize that there are different people that speak differently. However, okay, so that's it.
And you're always welcome to join other issue committees and different committees on a national level and pitch in, and that's a good way to get your voice if you want to feel more like a part of the actual organization.
And I'm glad that you're raising your voice here and now. Teresa, you have 45 seconds.
Thank you, President. I did write what I wanted to say about the youth segregation in the chat. It is an African tradition to be intergenerational. Respect your elders, and elders look for the younger people to take our place. That's what I'm doing. I'm looking for Kim Poole and people like her to take my place. So sharing power is key. And I'm disappointed that the treasurer did not say anything about the mini grants. We really need to get an update on the mini grants. Thank you, ma'am.
Perfect. Thank you, Teresa.
So we're out of time now for questions. If you had further questions and comments, please place them in the chat.